you. Welcome to FEBE. We're so glad that you made it this morning. At least there's nice air conditioning, because by the time you walk out, I keep hearing the word tropical in the weather forecast today. So we're really glad that you're here. I hope you helped yourself to some tea or coffee this morning. As always, we are so grateful to Dunkin' Donuts, who so graciously supplies us with your caffeine for the day. So if you're ever in across the street from the college, or over in Amherst or down at Camp's Corners, stop in, buy a cup of coffee, and thank them for graciously donating this every week for us. This morning, I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Pajestka.
Oh, that's not hard. Laura Pajestka is here with us, and she owns a trucking company, MJP, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so we asked her to come in because, a woman owning a trucking company, that's kind of a cool thing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to let her share her story, and we're so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
And towards the end, we are going to allow you to ask questions, but as you can tell, we're always videotaping this for our website. So if you do have a question, if you don't mind raising your hand, and then Brenna will come over with a microphone so that people that listen to the video or watch the video later will be able to hear all the information. So Laura, take it away.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here. It's really exciting that you're all entrepreneurs and investing into your businesses. And I'd like to just share my story real quick with you, and then I'll kind of give you some advice and some pointers and some help towards how I got started. My father was a trucker, so I grew up in the trucking industry, so I thought I knew everything about it. Well, of course, 30 years later, things have changed. There's a lot more regulations, and there's a lot more involved in trucking than it was when I helped my dad years ago. So my son is a Class A CDL truck driver, Teamster driver for 15 years. I retired from a 30-year career in nursing a couple years ago, and I started out, my daughter lives in San Diego, so I thought, this is great, I'm going to go out to San Diego, I'm going to sit on the beach, I'm going to have a blast. Well, it was fun for about a minute, and then I said, really? I got to do more than this, I'm getting antsy. So my son and I decided, with his expertise in trucking and my past history in trucking, we decided to take a leap of faith, and we bought a dump truck and a semi, and we started MJP Trucking LLC, and it's been a journey ever since. We're just coming up to our 1-year anniversary, and there's days when I think, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And then there's other days where I think, this is so cool, So at 61 years old, it's never too late to reset, change gears, and start something new. So here I am. But we started MJP last summer, and we were able to get going pretty quickly with a contractor, and I thought, wow, this is great, this is pretty easy. And then after that job was done, things kind of, the phone wasn't quite ringing as much, and so I realized I needed to get out there more and not depend on 1 or 2 companies to pull me up. So I started networking. I joined a women's organization called the Women's Business Center in Cleveland, and through them I made a lot of connections with people, and I can't stress to you how important it is. Even if you think something doesn't pertain to your business, you would be surprised the connections you can meet, the person you can meet at for example, I was invited to go, through the networking, I was invited to attend something at the airport. They had a doing there, and they invited me. And I'm thinking, well, I have dump trucks, I don't have planes, I didn't understand where the connection would be. Well, you would be surprised. They have runway tear-outs, they have new buildings that they put up, they have concessions, they need toilet paper. People who sell toilet paper, that's an opportunity. How many thousands and thousands of rolls of toilet paper the airport would go through. So even though you don't think it applies to you, never say no to an opportunity to go and meet somebody or sit in on a meeting. The websites for these, like the sewer district. The sewer district needs window washers. They have buildings. The airport has windows. They need window washers. So regardless of what your business is, if you don't think that particular thing connects to you, you just don't know. It may. And so all the major, like the corporations, like the sewer district, RTA, the airport commission, they all have bid meetings, open bid meetings. So you can go on their website, they have a schedule on there, and it'll tell you on this day at this place we're going to have this. Even if the project doesn't pertain to you, at least you don't think, go to the bid meetings, sit in, network, meet the people, because you're going to meet, like for my industry, when I go to these bid meetings that I know, for me to bid on a project is not doable right now, because you have to have millions in revenue, you have to have millions in insurance. I'm not at that point yet, but I'm going to meet a prime contractor at that bid meeting, and that prime contractor is going to take my card, and when he needs a sub, hopefully I'll get the call. All right, so that's what you have to do. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, even if you think, what am I doing here? You may be surprised of what you may find on that meeting or at that on that journey. So that's basically what I would suggest to you. There's a lot of websites for all, like I said, check out all the websites. See who's meeting with, RTA, for example, every month they have meetings. They have open bid meetings. One time a month it's on construction. Another time it's on accounting. Another time it's on different types of management. So you just look there and say, oh, okay, well, this pertains to me. I'm an accountant. I'm going to go sit in on that meeting and just see who I could connect with. So that's what you have to do. You have to really put yourself out there and take that leap of faith. And, especially being a woman in a predominantly male industry as trucking, you want to be taken seriously. And even though I have my pink hard hat, I still want to be considered that, I'm a businesswoman. And I have to say, it's been a wonderful journey for me. I've connected with there's a lot of support out there. You just have to reach out to people. The Women's Business Center is awesome. SBA has a lot of programs. Depending on your industry, check out your own industry and ask your industry, what kind of organizations do you have that I can connect with that pertain to me? And get yourself involved in the community. There's a lot of resources out there, and you just have to. And they're all free. I mean, they're all with, you don't have to pay for these. They're all free. For example, through my networking, I was invited by the Turner Construction Company. I don't know if they're a pretty big company. And I was invited to sign up for they had a 12-week construction management course at Tri-C in Cleveland. And I was invited to join that. And it was a wonderful experience. I learned, one week we learned about accounting, one week we learned about bidding, another week they had everybody from the county and the city come in to meet us. Another week we went on job sites. I mean, it was a little bit of everything. Some of it didn't pertain to my company, but it was a wonderful learning experience that you never know that you're going to need or use in the future. So that's my suggestion. Just put yourself out there. Just don't be afraid to, even if you don't think it has anything to do with you, it just might. It just might. Join the organizations in your field, join the organizations through the state, through the county, and really, really let those resources help you, because they're there. So that's basically my journey. It's just a year old. We're still growing, we're still learning. There's some days where I take 2 steps forward and 3 back, and then I say, oh my God, what's going on here? But it's worth it. It's worth it, because I see the companies growing. Where we've come in a year is really amazing to me. I just sit back and say, wow, I did that in a year? Wow, I really surprise myself sometimes. So, and then, like I said, use your community. Use your resources here, use your resources that are there for you. So that's basically my story. And I don't know if you had any questions or if you wanted to get any more information. So, yeah.
I've got a question.
Sure.
So do you and your son have targeted goals? Like where do you see the company going, and would you mind sharing those?
Sure. We kind of jumped in and bought 2 used semis, 2 trucks. And the one was giving us a lot of problems, so it was down more than it was working. So we had to regroup, because we kind of jumped thinking, we're going to get 2 trucks, we're going to have 2 drivers, and we're going to be on the road. Well, it didn't quite work that way because the truck that I bought wasn't dependable. So we ended up, long story short, we ended up getting rid of that one. So my goal is I'm not going to buy old used equipment because I'm learning that it's costing me more. It's costing me in downtime, it's costing me in repairs. So I was fortunate enough to be able to get approval for a new semi. So we have a new tractor. So every year, my goal is I would like to add a piece of equipment every year to the business. So currently, right now, I have a dump truck, a new semi-dump truck being made. What we do is, basically, we do hauling. We do demo work. We do aggregate hauling for the different prime contractors. Like today, my driver's out doing a tear out on I-77 in Richfield. So we do, we need certain type of dump trucks for that. So I need steel box dump trucks for that. So right now, currently, I'm in process of having a new dump truck. It's actually being made right now out at East Manufacturing. So you have to know, before you jump into buying equipment, you have to learn what equipment is going to be the best for me. And I had to learn that because that one truck I bought, it was an over-the-road truck. It wasn't a construction truck, so it wasn't powerful enough, and it was breaking down all the time. So before you buy equipment, before you set your goals, make sure that what you're looking to do or purchase is going to be good for your type of work. Okay, right. Well, when I started out, it was my son and I. My son was my main driver, my only driver. And now I'm up to 2 full-time drivers. I hired another driver this year, and I have 2 kind of part-time as-needed guys that, if they're not working somewhere else, they'll come and help me out. And I'm in the process of getting another truck done. And what I also did is when I only had the one truck, because we ended up having one truck at one time, I did a little thinking about this, and I said, there's a lot of night work going on the freeways. So what I did was I kind of double dipped with my truck. I had one guy doing day shift for one company, and then I have my son who likes night shift. He does hauling at night for another company. And so I was able to do double shifts per day with one truck. And it really was cost effective because it was, one insurance, one fuel tank, so it really, in a way, it kind of worked out good. And then I kind of rethought, I said, maybe I should just do this and not invest in another truck. But I do need to have more trucks because I'm turning down business because I don't have enough trucks. So that's my biggest hurdle. And to be honest, my biggest hurdle has been financing. Financing for new companies is very difficult to get. And the banks consider you a high risk if you're less than a year old. They want a lot of collateral. Sometimes they'll take your collateral, sometimes they won't. So I've had to be real creative with financing, and it hasn't always been easy. I've had to pay, rob Peter to pay Paul at times, but I did it, and it's starting to work. So.
Is this going to be your niche as far as the dump truck business, or are you going to get into transporting stuff too?
Well, right now our niche seems to be demo. That's what I keep getting the most calls for, and that's what we've been doing, a lot of demo work. But we also do hauling. We'll do like gravel and that kind of aggregate hauling. But because I have semis rather than the dump trucks, the triaxle type dump trucks, come winter time I can drop the dump truck, and my drivers could hook up a trailer and they could do hauling over the winter. So I set it up so that we have something lining up for the winter where we're going to haul maybe containers from the port. So this way we have that truck running, even though it's not doing construction year round, it's at least on the road. So I'm looking at doing that for the winter, so to keep the business going.
You mentioned networking. How else are you prospecting for your clients?
Well, basically, once you start the networking process, like for example, my best resource, and I'm grateful every day to them, has been ODOT. I was able to meet Maria Davala, who is the Diversity and Inclusion Outreach Director for the ODOT. Maria, it has been wonderful. She has matchmaker events where she invites, when they have a project coming up, they'll invite all the prime contractors, will set up tables. And they'll invite in all the new businesses, the subs, anybody who's interested in doing work on that project. And we'll actually go from table to table. You have 5 minutes to present your company to these prime contractors, which is huge. That's huge. And that gives you that one-on-one, face-to-face with these primes. And then you could follow up with them and say, hey, you know, I met you last week at Maria's Matchmaker event on the I-271 project, you know, and then, so those are the kind of contacts that you want to make sure you make. Yes?
Okay. Obviously, you're running the business. Okay. You're running your business. How do you manage the time you're out networking? Then you're not answering the phone and running the business. How do you manage your time?
Our business, our schedule is usually preset. So I'll get a call from a contractor and they'll say, hey, I need your dump truck at this site on this day at this time for this many days or weeks. So I know basically at least a day, sometimes a week out, sometimes 3 weeks out, how long my truck's. So that's kind of already set. And then I always have my phone with me. My drivers are great. They're very good at troubleshooting. They're very experienced. They usually can handle any problems on the road. Luckily, we haven't had too many, thank God. But yeah, so basically, it is a dual job for me. I'm trying to run the business. But like I said, I just surround myself with really good people. I have a great accountant. I have, a good resource. I surround myself with good people that really help me to be able to do other things. So.
If somebody contracts you for a certain day, and for one reason or another, they get backed up, and so they don't need you that day, do you charge them for that day? I mean, because you can't make other appointments because you've already got an appointment with them.
Well, it depends. It depends if you have a purchase order from them, yes, you can charge them for that downtime. If you don't have a purchase, and this is where you have to kind of watch, and these are things that I've been learning along the way. If you have that purchase order in hand, then yes, you are paid for that time that they've reserved you. If you don't, if it's just kind of a verbal agreement, then what I usually do is, if I get a call and say, hey, we're backed up, we're not ready for you yet, then I just get on the phone to my other contacts and say, hey, I'm available this day, this day, this day, and they normally jump on it because there's a real, to my advantage, there's a real shortage of truck drivers now, especially in construction. So, these contractors are calling constantly. So, it balances out. There's some days where we don't work, I'll be honest. There's some days where, I get a late call saying that the project's been postponed and it's too late to get with somebody else for that day. So there's times when we're down. And, but now I've learned how to maneuver it and I kind of know the people I can call that are okay with last minute calls, so.
I'm not sure I heard you right, but I think you said you were hoping or planning on hauling containers for the port in the non-construction season. Mm-hmm. What if we have a really cold winter and the port shuts down?
Well, then we have freight. I have contacts in the freight industry too that I can contact and haul just regular freight in the wintertime because I have semis. And this way they call it drop and hook, where you could just pick up a trailer and take a load somewhere, wherever they need it, So, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start out with the semis versus the dump trucks, a regular like Mack dump truck, a triaxle, because they're very costly and you're stuck with just that one function with that truck. Where if I have a semi, I could pull anything, I could do flatbeds, I could do trailers, I could do, just containers, So you want to utilize, when you're investing that kind of money, you want to make sure that truck is going to be rolling because you don't want it sitting for 6 months over the winter because that's not good.
How do you price yourself? One would think you don't have the economies of scale of number of trucks and many drivers to be anywhere at one given time. You have probably smaller margins because of it. Do you price yourself lower to get in and get the business?
You know
or
what?
Do you price yourself at your margin and just say this is what I need to make?
Basically, well, when we first started out, I said, I got to go in low because I got to get this job. But I've learned through ODOT that there are set pricing, prevailing wages and pricing set by ODOT. So there's a range. You know, there's a low range and then there's the higher range. And I started out kind of more towards the lower end to get the foot in the door. But as I'm going on, I'm realizing that there is that opportunity where I can still, being the lowest bidder isn't always going to get you the job. And I've learned that, and any of the contractors will tell you that. You know, it's not the lowest bid, it's the capacity, it's the, you know, the experience, it's the type of equipment you have, it's, you know, that's kind of what helps get the bid, so. Yes.
You mentioned that you know, being a female in a mainly male-dominated industry. What sort of challenges have you faced? Has there been anything that you're kind of surprised by because of that?
Well, you know, to be honest, I've been very fortunate. I've really been having a good respect relationship with the contractors. You know, they, you know, I've had experience. A couple guys will call me, oh, hi, honey, or hi, sweetie. You know, do you have a truck for me? You know, and I know they don't mean it, you know, derogatory, but it's just kind of the way it is. So I've had to, you know, kind of just overlook that and just let them know, you know, yeah, I'm a 5'2" woman, but I have dump trucks. So that's basically, you know, that's basically how it is. So yeah, but I have run across that, but that's not the majority. That's just very few. So.
Do you have an office or a location, and do you plan on hiring anybody? I know you keep talking about networking and hiring drivers and that kind of thing, but do you have any plans of hiring like an admin person or salespeople or that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That's my goal. Eventually, right now, my office is in my home, and I am, you know, my goal is to find a little. What I'd like to do is I'd like to find some land where I can put up a small office and also have parking for my trucks, because right now I'm paying to have my, you know, it's not easy to park a 30-foot dump trailer and a semi. So eventually that's my goal, is to be able to have my own setup where I don't have to depend on other places to park my trucks. So, but yes, that's, yeah. Right now I'm working out of my house. I have an office, and you know, that's how it is.
Right now, where are your trucks at? Where do you just, I mean, piggybacking on that, where do you have them? Like
Stored?
Yeah.
Oh, parked? Well, I actually have two spots. Right now, I have a contract with a place called Access Storage. They're in Hinckley, 130th and 303. And so I have spots there that I have a year contract with them. When we're doing more work on east side of Cleveland, which we are right now because we're right there on 77 and 271 and 303, I actually have an arrangement with the Pilot Service Center over there on 21. They have reserved parking spots for trucks, like short term. So during the week, I park my trucks over there, so it's more convenient and faster for the drivers. And then on the weekend, we take it back to the regular parking lot. So. At times, yeah, at times, you know, but you know what, early on, my son and I said, you know what, I said, Matt, you're the driver, you're the expert on the truck. I'm going to leave that to you. I said, I'm going to handle the administrative pieces and the, you know, the networking and the contracting and all that. And he said, God, go for it, you know. He didn't want anything to do with that. My son is hands-on, he's a driver, he wants to be out there in the field. He doesn't want anything to do with bookkeeping, so it works good. It works good. We don't have a conflict. Sometimes we do about the budget, you know. He wants to be a little more extravagant than I want to be, so. But that's it. But I will say also, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I believe that setting the budget before each period is important, and this can be a silly question, but I think that the gas price is fluctuating.
Mm-hmm.
I think the gas price is important in truck company, and how do you forecast the price and set the budget?
Well, right now the fuels, a couple years ago, diesel was like $4.50 a gallon. Now it's in the low twos, so which is, you know, we're grateful for that. But what our industry does is whenever there's a sudden increase in fuel charges, then that's adjusted in the rate, because you have to allow for like a fuel surcharge, because that's just the way it is, you know. It's so yeah, that gets figured into the budget, you know, if it occurs. I'm hoping it stays down. Right now it's pretty good. It's in the 2s, so. Yes.
This is premature since you're just starting, but in the literature, companies should have an end game. And I suspect that you and your son even had an end game as you started. To sell the company, to grow it to be a stock-held company, to just sell the trucks and get out of business. Would you comment on that field of endeavor?
Okay, we've talked about that, you know, what's going to happen. Right now, we've given ourselves like a 5-year plan to see. Right now, we're growing, you know, in this first year. I've already, like I said, I've already added a driver, I've already added equipment. So we're growing, and we're just going to keep watching it and see. You know, there's a few options. If we decide, you know, if something happened that we couldn't do the business anymore, we always could sell the equipment. There's always somebody looking for trucking, you know, equipment. Somebody else could buy out the company. Sometimes your larger companies will approach you and ask you, you know, that they'll take over for you. What kind of gives me an advantage is the fact that I'm in the process of getting my, and we didn't even talk about this yet, but we have, being a female of Hispanic descent, I am considered a minority company. And with that, I was able to get, they call it a DBE certification through the state of Ohio, through the feds. And so what that allows me to do is it allows me to be able to get to bid on jobs that I normally wouldn't have been able to afford to bid on. So I'm hoping once that DBE certification it's in process right now. As soon as I get that, then I have that opportunity to leverage that certification with the contract, especially with the state and the federal ODOT jobs. So you know, I really feel that, because at first I said, I didn't even know I was a minority. I said, females are minority in the business world? I didn't know that. I just never did. And I was told that, and I was very surprised, but then, you know, I was able to utilize that information to help my company, so. Oh, absolutely. I just talked to my mentor this morning on the way over here. Yes, I do. Like I said, I through my networking and my different organizations in the field, I have a wonderful, wonderful group of people that are very supportive with me. We're in the union, we're in the Teamsters, so I get a lot of support from the Teamsters, from the Union Hall, and I also get a lot of support from the women's organizations like the Women's Business Center that I belong to. And I also have mentors in the actual trucking industry that have kind of taken me under their wing, and it's been wonderful, just been wonderful. So. Well, I grew up in the union. My dad was a Teamster, so to me, it's the normal relationship, you know. And I know there's pros and cons. People have, you know, their own opinions about unions, but in my industry, you know, the unions are strong, and the unions are a great opportunity to help grow your company. I'm not saying every type of company or business is union, but in my industry, it's good to be part of that network.
That's good to know. Mm-hmm. You always hear the owners and
Right. No, not. In fact, you know, my son was in the union when we started the business, and the business was, you know, just starting, and the union embraced us. You know, they were really happy that we came on board. So.
Well, as small as you are, you probably would have to be a part of the union.
No, you don't. But like I said, growing up in the union and, you know, being a supportive of unions, you know, it's good for me. It's good for my company. So.
Most of your business is local at this point.
Right. We've gone. We usually do like a 100-mile radius. Okay. So yeah. So, and if anybody's interested, just curious, we have a website. It's mjptrucking.com, And even though the trucks on there are not my new trucks, but at least they'll give you an idea of what, you know, if you want to see what we do, and yeah.
Anyone else have any questions this morning? Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you. Thank you.